Good morning. My name is Kristen Hartman, and I have the honor to be on your board of trustees. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a tall, white, fat femme millennial with, well, mostly brown hair and blue eyes. Today I'm wearing a black sweater and a striped skirt. Our speakers provide visual descriptions to welcome people with visual impairments and those listening online. We're excited to be in community with you today. Yeah, woo. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones. And if you can, but there's so many of us and it's amazing, please move to the middle, to the seat in the middle of your section, if you can, to leave aisle seats open for those with accessibility needs. If you're visiting for the first time, stop by the welcome table if you haven't already to pick up a visitor gift with more information about our community. Look for the Getting to Know You sign in Beach Hall after the service to learn more about our congregation. And everyone's welcome to come chat with me or another board member after the service. There is a lot going on here at First UU. Please see your order of service or this week's Sunday announcement email where you can read details about 2 upcoming bread events, ARA's upcoming dine out, and next week's community Thanksgiving dinner. And 2 more things. Hot off the presses. Next week, this space is going to look a little different. Starting tomorrow, we're getting our new carpet. So if you want a sneak peek, the samples are out in the gallery. So walk by after service. Second thing, there's going to be a gift tree for kids from Feed and Read out in the gallery, again, after service. If you can, take a gift tag and make sure that you can get those gifts, return them unwrapped, and I have a special request that I added to those tags this year. See, the moms of the kids that we help through Feed and Read asked if we could also provide a package of socks to each kid. I feel like we can, so I stuck it on the gift tags. So if you're wondering, why would a kid ask for a package of socks? They did not, their mothers did. So Santa's elves say thank you. All right, and now please rise in body and in spirit to sing For the Beauty of the Earth, number 21 in your gray hymnal.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Dr. Teresa Cooley. My pronouns are she, her. And I am a white woman in her early 60s with silver hair, a purple stole, and a green dress. We gather on the stolen land of the Wyandotte, Miami, Seneca, Erie, Shawnee, Delaware, and Cayuga people, many of whom were forcibly removed. We support the Native American Indian Center of Central Ohio in their Land Back campaign, and we know that we have more to do to be in true relationship and solidarity with this land and the people who are indigenous to it.
It's a little tall. Good morning. I am Reverend Kelly McNeil. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve as your minister of congregational life. I am a white woman in her late 30s with long purple hair and clear glasses. And today I have a reddish sweater and I'm wearing a rainbow stained glass stole. Now let us enter into the spirit of worship with these words from Rebecca Savage. Rejoice. Rejoice with full hearts, beloved people of blessing. Rejoice. May this time of worship celebrate what we know at our core. Blessings are real and ours to claim and radiate. Blessings are abundant and ours to revel in and pass along. Blessings are transformational and ours to be challenged by as we grow towards the faith we know we can be. Rejoice. It is now time for our children to meet Nikki and Amber back in the back to prepare to bring in the light. Everyone else, please turn to your neighbors and introduce yourself.
It is now time for the children to bring in the light. In the words of the poet William Safford, this is a little loud. Thanks. It could happen anytime. Tornado, earthquake, Armageddon, it could happen. Or sunshine, love, salvation. It could, you know. That's why we wake and look out. No guarantees in this life, but some bonuses, like morning, like right now. May this light we now kindle awaken us to the blessings of this day, this morning, this moment of now that we share together.
Thank you, Hazel, for your help lighting our chalice this morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration, and my pronouns are she, they. I'm a white femme millennial with wild and wonderful wavy hair. I'm wearing an olive cardigan and a black top. Today's story is called Miss Tizzy, written by Libba Moore Gray and illustrated by Jada Rowland. Miss Tizzy always wore a purple hat with white flowers on it and high-top green tennis shoes. The neighbors thought she was peculiar, but the children loved her. Miss Tizzy's house was pink and sat like a fat blossom in the middle of a street with white houses, white fences, and very neat flower gardens. Miss Tizzy had no fence at all, but she had flowers that grew everywhere and spilled onto the sidewalk. Miss Tizzy let the children pick the flowers. Then she gave them clean glass jelly jars to put them in, and the children loved it. Miss Tizzy's big yellow cat, Hiram, slept in a window box in the middle of some red geraniums. Sometimes he climbed on her shoulders and hung there like a tired old fur. On Mondays, Miss Tizzy baked cookies. She let the neighborhood children put in the raisins and then lick the bowl while the cookies were baking. The children loved it. On Tuesdays, Miss Tizzy made puppets out of old socks. She made a puppet for each boy and girl. They made up their own stories and put on shows for Miss Tizzy. She laughed and clapped every time, and the children loved it. On Wednesdays, Miss Tizzy played her bagpipes. She gave the children spoons and pans and let them pretend they were playing real drums. Each Wednesday, one child got to be special and play a silver penny whistle. Every child got a turn. They marched up and down the street with Miss Tizzy and her bagpipes leading the parade. Hiram sometimes marched along, and the children loved it. On Thursdays, Miss Tizzy gave the children clean white paper and crayons. They drew pictures of sunshine and butterflies. They put them in Miss Tizzy's red wagon and delivered them all over town to people who had stopped smiling and had grown too tired to come out of their houses anymore. Hiram rode in the wagon with a red ribbon around his neck, and the children loved it. On Fridays, Miss Tizzy opened her trunk, and they all played dress up. There were hats with feathers and hats with bows. There were baseball caps and straw hats with bright red bands. Everyone wore a hat. Miss Tizzy put on a lace shawl and served pink lemonade in her best china cups, and the children loved it. On Saturdays, Miss Tizzy put roller skates on over her green tennis shoes and went up and down the sidewalk. The children came out of the houses and joined her. They made a roller skate train, holding on to Miss Tizzy's long skirt. Hiram was usually the caboose. The children made train sounds, and Miss Tizzy was the engineer. She never scolded the children for being too loud, and the children loved it. On Sundays, when the day was over, the children stretched out on bright quilts in Miss Tizzy's backyard and looked up at the stars. The tree frogs croaked their summer sounds as Miss Tizzy sang songs about the moon, slightly off key. The children didn't care. They loved it. One day, Miss Tizzy took off her purple hat with the white flower and laid it on the window seat. Then she took off her high-top green tennis shoes and placed them under her high white bed. Miss Tizzy lay down on her feather mattress. She was very sick. Hiram left his window box and curled up at her feet. He did not purr anymore. The doctor came and went. He shook his head and looked very serious. The children were sad. They didn't know what to do. They missed their grown-up friend. But finally, they had an idea. On Monday, they baked cookies with raisins and brought them to the pink house. On Tuesday, they stood in the yard and held up puppets to the window. They put on a puppet show just for Miss Tizzy. On Wednesday, they brought pans and spoons and played a soft little drumming sound just outside the door. On Thursday, they drew pictures with orange and red crayons and put them in Miss Tizzy's mailbox. On Friday, they put on funny hats and left a tea tray at the front door. They left Hiram a bowl of cool milk. And on Saturday, they put a brand new pair of skates in a big box with purple ribbon on top and took them to Miss Tizzy. On Sunday, when the sun went away, the children stood underneath Miss Tizzy's window. They sang all the moon songs she had taught them. Miss Tizzy's hat glowed in the moonlight. She was having a peaceful dream. She heard the children singing, and she loved it. The end. Miss Tizzy found many ways to stir up happiness with the children in her neighborhood, and when she became too sick to come out and play, those kiddos knew just what to do to make her feel missed and loved in return. Please remain seated with hands over your hearts as we sing I Know This Rose Will Open, number 396, to sing our beloved children back to their families and out to class.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
Our Share the Plate recipient for November is the Wednesday food pantry at the church at Oakland Park. The church on Oakland Park believes in God's economy of abundance, trusting that there is more than enough for all of us when we are committed to caring for one another. That's why they host a drive-through food pantry from their parking lot every Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. During the pandemic and as inflation has gone up, the Wednesday food pantry really stepped up, providing food to over 300 families a week, more than they had per month before. Located in South Linden, those who volunteer are a diverse group of people from many races and faiths, many of whom have also received food from the pantry. Volunteers from First UU are welcome to help on any Wednesday, and I'm sure you can join Jacques Angelino there every Wednesday. In addition to passing the basket, you can text to give, scan the QR code, or visit firstucolumbus.org/donate. Thank you for your generosity. The offering will now be received.
Today's pastoral listener is Sue Farnlocker. She's right up here in the front. If you have something on your mind or heart today, Sue will be in Beach Hall after the service and will be happy to listen. We have some joys and sorrows from our community to share with you this morning, and there are 4 caring cards to sign in Beach Hall after this service. We wish happy birthday to Wilkie Cirker. He celebrated his 80th birthday on November 15th. Wilkie is Sharon Hammersley's husband. We send healing thoughts to Barb Fisher and Marcy Hupp. Barb had total right knee replacement surgery on November 11th and is now recovering at a rehab facility until she is able to return home. And Marcy sprained her ankle last week and can't walk on it. She's waiting for an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon. And finally, our hearts are heavy, both for ourselves and for the family of our dear friend Pat Larson. We lost Pat on Thursday night. We send our deepest sympathy to her family and many friends. There will be a memorial service for Pat on Sunday, December 14th, after the service. Now, please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation as I share these words from Kathleen McTeague. Here in the refuge of this Sabbath home, we turn our busy minds toward silence and our full hearts toward one another. We move together through the mysteries, the bright surprise of birth and the shadowed questions of death. In our slow walk between the two, we will be wounded and we will be showered with grace, amazing, unending. Even in our sorrows, we feel our lives cradled in holiness we cannot comprehend. And though we each walk within a vast loneliness, the promise we offer here is that we do not walk alone. This is a holy place in which we gather. The light of the earth brought in and held, touched then by our answering light, the flame on a chalice, the flicker of a candle, the lamps of our open faces brought near. In this place of silence and celebration, solemnity and music, we make a sanctuary and name our home. Into this home we bring our hunger for awakening. We bring compassionate hearts and a will toward justice. Into this home we bring the courage to walk on after hard losses. Into this home we bring our joy and gratitude for ordinary blessings. By our gathering, we bless this place. In its shelter, we know ourselves blessed. I will now ring our temple bell as we have a moment of silence together.
Just beautiful. Thank you so much. Our reading this morning comes from neurosurgeon Oliver Sacks. He wrote a series of essays called Gratitude when he had just been diagnosed with a terminal illness. And he wrote this actually just a few weeks before he died. Over the last few days, I have been able to see my life as from a great altitude, as a sort of landscape, and with a deepening sense of the connection of all of its parts. This does not mean I am finished with life. On the contrary, I feel intensely alive, and I want and hope in that time that remains to deepen my friendships, to say farewell to those I love, to write more, to travel if I have the strength, to achieve new levels of understanding and insight. This will involve audacity, clarity, and plain speaking, trying to straighten my accounts with the world. But there will be a time for some fun and even some silliness as well. I feel a sudden clear focus and perspective. There is no time for anything inessential. I must focus on myself, my work, and my friends. I cannot pretend I am without fear, but my predominant feeling is one of gratitude. I have loved and been loved. I've been given much, and I have given something in return. I have read and traveled and thought and written. I've had an intercourse with the world, the special intercourse of writers and readers. Above all, I have been a sentient being, a thinking animal on this beautiful planet, and that in itself has been an enormous privilege and adventure. Please stay seated for our meditative hymn, number 18, found in your gray hymnal, What Wondrous Love.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, when I was sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, O my soul, friends to me gathered round, O my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, with thanks unto the end I will sing.
Many of you know that I spent last weekend in San Antonio celebrating my mother's 90th birthday with dozens of family and friends and members, almost 100 members of her fellow congregants at her UU church, all of whom are devoted fans. And she thanks you very much for the caring card that you signed last week. It meant a lot to her. If you saw her, and some of you saw her on my Facebook page, you would think that she was perhaps 70. Now, 90 looking like 70 may seem remarkable, but in my family, it's practically middle-aged. My grandmother lived to 107. We used to joke that she made it that long so that she could at least match the record of her 107-year-old sister-in-law, with whom she had a less than perfect relationship. When asked what her secret was to such a long life, she would slyly reply, "If I told you, it wouldn't be a secret." But if I had to guess her secret, it was devotion to others. She led a life of dedication to her faith, to her family and her friends, and I think this made her a happy person. In my mother's case, I have another guess about one of her secrets to a long life. She embodies an appreciation of life. You can't drive down the street with her without her noticing just about everything beautiful. "Look at that azalea," she would exclaim. "What is that amazing flame-like flower? What a beautiful baby." It takes a certain kind of openness to life and a setting aside of self to live like this. And while I can't say, and I doubt she would claim, that she is always happy, I think this trait keeps her alive and happy much of the time. People often ask me what I'm preaching about, and in this last week when I would say happiness, I would get a look from people that suggested they thought I was deranged. I think Betsy Smalley just about scoffed when I told her. And I understand. These are times that bring out the opposite of happiness in us. Fear, anger, frustration, anxiety, these would be the norm. And yet I think that we do need to think about happiness more than ever right now. Otherwise, we sink into despair. Now, let me hasten to add that I hardly think of myself as bouncing with happiness at the moment, so I'm preaching to myself as much as to you. Happiness is, for certain, one of the most elusive of emotions. It turns out that only about 30% of Americans consider themselves happy. And that number has held steady since 1956. It seems like this has been the American condition for a very long time. In the 1840s, Alexis de Tocqueville, the French political scientist who seemed to grasp the essential American nature more than anyone, wrote, "In America, I saw the freest and most enlightened people placed in the happiest circumstances that the world affords. Yet it seemed to me as if a cloud habitually hung upon their brows, and I thought them serious and almost sad, even in their pleasures. In the United States, people build houses in which they can spend their old age, and they sell them before the roof is on. They plant gardens and sublet them just as the trees come into bearing. They bring fields into tillage and leave others to gather the crops. They embrace a profession and then give it up. They settle in a place which they soon afterwards leave to carry their changeable longings elsewhere. They who have set their hearts exclusively upon the pursuit of worldly welfare are always in a hurry, for they have but a limited time at their disposal to reach, to grasp, and to enjoy it." Sounds kind of familiar still, doesn't it? It turns out that people are lonelier than ever right now, as well as unhappy, especially younger generations, sadly. Technology bears a lot of the blame for this, people say, focusing on their phones rather than friends, feeling inadequate when measuring oneself against some kind of media ideal, political polarization enhanced by being fed a steady stream of misinformation. Technology does indeed create challenges to our happiness. But it turns out that some people are trying to use technology to change that. It turns out that there are happiness apps. One is called Happy, Not Perfect, developed by a young woman who had become aware of how stressed out and depressed young adults seem to be. And indeed, among 15 to 35-year-olds, suicide is the second leading cause of death. This developer, Poppy Jamie, and one wonders whether her name destined her for this role, Poppy Jamie has spent the past 3 years working with experts in the fields of psychotherapy, mindfulness, neuroscience, in order to better understand the brain, and she developed an app that would distill that learning down to a daily 5-minute mental workout. She said, "We have 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day. 98% of them are the same as yesterday, and about 80% of them are negative. We have to change our behaviors to create a mindset shift. But we're never told that. We're never taught how to process a breakup or a death. She also thinks people don't even understand what it is to be happy. She said there's been a real confusion over what happiness is, and I think that's when people start to feel disillusioned. Happiness is not the absence of problems, but the ability to deal with them. I think balance is a great word when it comes to happiness. What we're waking up to is that happiness is not an achievement, like, oh, when I get that car, when I get that house, but a shift from external validation to internal fulfillment. I think that's a pretty valid theory. And indeed, her app and others like it help train people in some basic mindfulness techniques that all kind of boil down to, don't worry, be happy. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe in these techniques and spiritual disciplines, and I don't mean to diminish their effectiveness, but I do believe there's a bit more to happiness than just becoming mindful and self-aware. According to Buddhist tradition, one becomes happier when one constantly contemplates death. And now there's an app for that also. It's called We Croak. And it pings you 5 times a day with reminders that someday we too shall shed this mortal coil. Today's quote is, "The world is alive and no living thing has any remedy." That is our fortune. It's actually based on Bhutanese philosophy that believes in this technique. The Bhutanese believe this so adamantly that they measure the gross national happiness of their people. They send out interviewers who ask things like, taking all things together, how happy would you say you are? How happy did you feel yesterday? What is your desired happiness condition? I think I would struggle to answer that one. But their focus on national happiness goes back to their legal code of 1729, which says, if the government cannot create happiness for its people, there is no purpose for the government to exist. Does anyone sitting here right now think that our government serves this purpose? I think it's an amazing and a wonderful ideal, and I have a hard time even beginning to imagine it. But I do think that being aware that our lives are finite can help us appreciate what we have. As Oliver Sacks said in our reading when contemplating his impending death, over the last few days, I've been able to see my life as from a great altitude, as a sort of landscape, and with a deepening sense of the connection to all of its parts. And indeed, I do know a number of people who find contemplating their end to help them focus on what is truly most important, which can then create a kind of happiness. The cognitive researcher Nancy Etkoff said this in a recent TED Talk. When you think about it, people are happiest when they're in flow, when they're absorbed in something out in the world, when they're with other people, when they're active, engaged in sports, focusing on a loved one, learning, whatever. They're not sitting in front of the mirror trying to figure themselves out or thinking about themselves. These are not the periods when you feel happiest. Robert Waldinger is the director of a 75-year study at Harvard that has followed the lives of 724 men, not just men, asking about their work, their families, their health, their home lives. Only about 60% of this original cohort of men are still alive, but tracking so many over such a long period has given invaluable perspective on what makes for a happy, long life. The lessons aren't about wealth or fame or working harder and harder. The clearest message we get from this 75-year study is this: good relationships keep us happier and healthier, period. And another study tells us that there is a fairly easy way to keep younger people happier as well, and that is to give things away. A 6-year Cornell study, which recently concluded, gave $400 to undergraduates with the instructions that they were either to use it for themselves or to make a contribution to something they cared about. It didn't take 6 years to discover some absolutely clear results. Those who used the money to contribute to something beyond themselves scored higher on just about every measure of a sense of well-being. So as I said in the beginning, talking about happiness right now when so many terrible things are in our face, moment by moment, can seem absurd. But giving into despair will never help the ugliness go away. The poet Jack Gilbert put it this way: if we deny our happiness, resist our satisfaction, we lessen the importance of their deprivation. We must risk delight. We can do without pleasure, but not delight, not enjoyment. We must have the stubbornness to accept our gladness in the ruthless furnace of this world. We are called to find happiness, not in spite of, but because of the horrors of the world. Not only are we called to find it, we are also called to give it away. Eve Ensler is the creator of the Vagina Monologues, both a funny and a serious set of explorations of the female body that has shocked but also healed an enormous number of women. In telling and listening to stories about the violence that has been done to women's bodies, Ensler unleashed a movement. She started raising money all around the world to stop violence against women, and has helped inspire thousands to create organizations of resistance. And in the process, she says, she learned something about happiness. She says, before I started doing the monologues, I didn't really believe in happiness. I thought only idiots were happy, to be honest. But in the process of building her movement, she learned about how pain, once seen and acknowledged, can transform into strength. She says, this journey has taught me this really simple thing, which is that happiness exists in action. It exists in telling the truth and saying what your truth is. And it exists in giving away what you want the most. So if there's a summary to all of this, a recipe to find some happiness in the midst of despair, it would be this: opening yourself up to appreciate the beauty that surrounds us, even when we least anticipate it. Deliberately trying to focus on some good, even in the face of the bad. Being aware of our own finitude and making each moment count. Connecting with others, even when it may be uncomfortable. And embracing generosity, giving to others rather than acquiring things for ourselves. It is not rocket science, and it is not easy in the face of so many contrary social messages. But But I can't think of a better purpose for church. To provide a community in which people can build meaningful relationships that carry them out of their loneliness and into health. To remind ourselves of that which is beautiful. To encourage us to give away that which we most want. To be seen, to be allowed to be ourselves, to make meaning out of tragedy, and to find strength in hardship. There's not an app that can do all that. We find it right here, right now, among and between us. And that, my friends, makes me very happy. Amen. Our final hymn is 139, Wonders Still the World Shall Witness, in your gray hymnal.
Wonders still the world shall witness, never known in days of old, never dreamed by ancient sages, howsoever free and bold. Sons and daughters shall inherit wondrous hearts to us unknown, when the dawn of peace its splendor over all the world has thrown. They shall rule with winged freedom, worlds of health and human good, worlds of commerce, worlds of science, all made one and understood. They shall know a world transfigured, which our eyes but dimly see. They shall make its love and justice beautiful from sea to sea. For a spirit then shall move them, we but vaguely apprehend. Aims magnificent and holy, making joy and labor friend. Then shall bloom in song and fragrance, harmony of thought and deed, fruits of peace and love and justice, where today we plant the seed.
Please take the hand of someone close to you or place your hand on your heart. Don't save your soul. Pour it out like rain on cracked, parched earth. Give your soul away or pass it like a candle flame. Sing it out or laugh it up the wind. Souls were made for hearing broken hearts, for puzzling dreams, remembering August flowers, forgetting hurts. I will spend my soul playing it out like sticky string into the world so I can catch every last thing I touch. And now let us join in extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love.
lovely singing too.